For watching this video. This video is part 2 in a series about what's going on inside your gut. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, head over to our YouTube page, check that one out first. It's going to lay the foundation for what I'm going to continue speaking about in this video. So in the last video we were talking about the difference between a straight slide and kind of a curvy slide. And that a straight slide or a straight line is a shorter distance than a curved one. To be clear, your stomach, not your stomach in general, but the organ, your stomach, should be like a line. Food should go into it, and it should leave it relatively quickly, 1, maybe 2 hours. The small intestines should be more like that curved slide. What we want to see is that food takes its time when it's going through your intestines. And this allows the body to pull out nutrient from the food, to process the waste from that process, to take care of business, so to speak, and it needs time to take care of all those tasks. How do we do this? How do we curve the slide? We do that by building up the terrain of the intestines. So inside of your intestines, what we want to see is just like the terrain of a national park or of a playground, that there's bumps, there's curves, there's hills, there's valleys. It's not just flat, smooth ground. We want to see that there's some rough terrain. And that allows us to curve the slide. So the food doesn't just shoot through the intestines, it has to maneuver and kind of slow down, just like you would if you were to walk through a national park with bumpy terrain. I hope that makes sense to you. Now, I'm going to talk about some supplements, and I'm going to talk about a food that help us build up the terrain. I want you to know first, I wish that we could just build the terrain with food. But that is an incredibly time-intensive endeavor. It's going to take a really, really long time if we're just going to build up the terrain with food. So what I'm going to promote is that we use some supplements and a very specific food, because I've seen that that takes much less time and is still completely effective. So the first supplement's my favorite. If you've watched my videos, you know I love it. If you've seen me in clinic, you know I love it. Spanish black radish. This is big time gut support. It helps clean the gut, and it provides a number of nutrients for the gut to help it function the right way. Next thing is Zymex. This is also made by Standard Process. Zymex helps correct the pH of the intestines. So the reason I bring that up is because within the intestines, for us to have that nice curve, sometimes what's happening is that there's some kind of stressor within the gut. Let's say a yeast or a fungus. And that will actually hold the intestines in a straight line, because that fungus is kind of sitting on top and not allowing the terrain to get bumpy. It's holding it flat. But when we correct the pH with Zymex, we effectively remove the fungus, and then we go back to having that nice curve that we're looking for. GI stability. This is a special one. It's also made by Standard Process. I'm sure you've heard the word probiotic before. I hope you've heard the word prebiotic before. Prebiotics feed the good bacteria that we have in our intestines. Those good bacteria really help us establish a good terrain. So we want to make sure that we get some prebiotic also. And that's what GI stability does for us. So we have the cleaner slash nourisher. We have the pH corrector. We have the prebiotic. Those are the 3 supplements I'm going to recommend that we apply to make sure that we are curving the slide, that we are building up the terrain of the intestines. Now, last but not least, I don't like to only rely on supplements. I don't think that's very effective. I want to talk about the most important food for building up the terrain, and that's our friend bone broth. Bone broth is going to give us hundreds of types of collagen. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. More than 100 types of collagen. And it's going to provide trace elements like certain minerals. So this is also going to be big time nourisher, just like our friend Spanish black radish. But it's also going to be a builder. So I want you to consider the way I put this combo together. We're going to get junk out. We're going to get junk out. We're going to build up the good. We're going to build up the good. Does that make sense? If you were doing a new bathroom in your house, you would take out the old and put in new. You wouldn't just rip out the old and not put in new. You wouldn't just put in the new and not rip out the old. So we're going to do all of it. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you have questions about this topic. And I also hope that you're ready for part 3. Because that's what's coming next. Have a great day.